Throughout my life, I kind of notice I can fall into this pattern sometimes of kind of not being satisfied with where I'm currently at in my life, or maybe trying to chase the next big thing that I think is going to make me happy. Whether it's the money, looking for somebody to be in a relationship with, a certain type of job, whatever it is, I often find that even when I get that thing, my mind then looks for another thing to chase. And especially online nowadays with social media, I think it's so easy to fall into the pattern of comparing ourselves to others. Oh, I don't have my dream job. I'm not in a relationship. I don't have that dream car I want or the dream house. Look at them, they have it. And the thing is, when we are constantly looking for reasons to find something wrong with where we are currently at, we start to live in a state of mind which is constantly lacking. A place of feeling like we are constantly lacking something in our life and feeling unfulfilled. Because the message that we are subconsciously sending ourselves is that where we are right now isn't good enough. What I have right now in my life isn't good enough to be happy. I first need that car. I first need that promotion. I first need to be in that relationship. And then when that happens, then I can be happy. But have you ever noticed that that's not true? And so then the question comes, how can we shift our focus from this state of lacking and feeling unfulfilled to then focusing on what we do have and coming back to a place of fulfillment and feeling satisfied with our lives? I believe we can do this with the practice of gratitude. There's a quote I like which says, "The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it." You see, the thing is, practicing gratitude helps us connect back to a place of just feeling happy right now. Because did you know that you actually could tap into a state of mind that allows you to be happy right now with where you currently are in your life? But it does take a bit of time. I've been gratitude journaling on and off for a few years now, but every time I manage to stick to it consistently, I notice such an improvement in my state of mind and just like my overall positivity and well-being. So in this video, we're going to get into how gratitude literally changes your brain, how it can make a more positive impact in your daily life, and ways that you can implement this. So how does gratitude change our brain? Well, for many years, scientists thought that the brain stopped developing at a certain age, but over the recent years, research and studies have found that the brain is able to rewire itself. It's able to adapt and change, and this is known as neuroplasticity. And how this works is that when we repeat a behavior again and again, eventually in our brain we develop new neural pathways which get stronger and stronger with the repetition we do of that certain behavior. So let's take an example, okay? Brushing your teeth. I'm going to make the assumption, okay, that most of us in the morning and before we go to bed at night are just in the natural habit of going to brush our teeth. We don't really have to think about it, we just know to do it when we wake up and when we go to bed. But were we born with this habit? No. It had to be taught to us by our parents, and we were told to repeat it again and again and again until it became part of our lifestyle. And the repetition of constantly doing this behavior wired our brains, created new neural pathways, and these were strengthened every time we repeated this behavior until it's gone into our brains like a subconscious habit. We don't have to think about it anymore. And this is actually so exciting because we literally have the power to rewire our brains. And so how can this work for gratitude then? Well, the literal act of taking some time to reflect and think about some positive things in your life, when we do this practice again and again, we are creating new neural pathways in our brains to literally think more positively and literally seek out the good in our everyday. And this isn't like woo-woo stuff, by the way. This is literally neuroscience. We literally have the ability to rewire our brains to think more positively. And speaking from personal experience, I can vouch it works. It does work. And so for me, it's kind of like a no-brainer. If I literally have the opportunity to make my life more positive, to literally just be a happier person and enjoy my life, all for the sake of doing a small practice every day, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I choose to do that? And the thing I want to make clear is that it's not just sitting down in the practice of gratitude which makes you feel overall positive and fulfilled. It's actually that doing this behavior repeatedly ends up overflowing into other areas of your life. There's some moments I notice when I might just be sitting and not doing anything, and I just get this overwhelming feeling of feeling so happy or feeling so content and just being so present with where I currently am and feeling like, oh my god, I really I'm so happy with this moment, even though there's nothing special happening in this moment. And I know that the reason I experience that kind of state of mind and that feeling is because I dedicate myself to doing a bit of a daily practice, which when we do again and again and again, rewires our brain, and this then overflows into other areas of our life when we're not even in the practice. Like, this is literally something which is free, easy to do, is going to make your life so much better and happier. Why wouldn't we do that? Like, that's a fair trade, I think. That's a really good deal. That's a good investment. But let's get into the studies and the research so you can see these results for yourself. So there was a study done involving 300 students at a university who overall, the average reported that they were suffering with some type of depression or anxiety. And what they did is they split these people randomly into 3 groups, all of which these 3 groups were receiving counselling services because, like I said, they were struggling with their mental health. And so the first group was instructed to write a letter of gratitude to another person for the first 3 weeks. The second group was told to write about their deepest thoughts and feelings about some negative experiences. And the third group didn't do any writing activity at all. And so what did they find? Well, the first group who wrote gratitude letters, they had significantly better mental health than the second group who were writing about their negative experiences for 4 weeks and even 12 weeks after the writing exercise had ended. So even after 12 weeks, this first group was still having more positive experiences and overall well-being than this second group. And the third group didn't have anything happen to them. There was also another study done by 2 psychologists where they asked groups of people to write particular sentences down for a few weeks. So the first group wrote a few sentences of things they were grateful for that week. The second group wrote about things that displeased them or things that irritated them that week. And the third group had to write about things that affected them this week, which was not told whether to be positive or negative, just whatever came to them. What they found in this study was that after 10 weeks, the people who wrote the gratitude felt more optimistic and positive in their lives and actually had better well-being. They had even been found to exercise more and actually eat more healthily. In another study, they showed that managers who remembered to say thank you and showed gratitude to their employees ended up in the employees actually working harder. So this was a study done in the University of Pennsylvania, and they had 2 groups. The 2 groups were doing a fundraise, and so the first group was asked to make calls how they normally do and continue to do their fundraising just as a normal day at work. And then the second group, who came in on a different day, they actually received a pep talk from the manager who was telling them that they're so grateful for their efforts and the work that they are doing. During the following week, what they found is that the group who had had some gratitude given to them made 50% more fundraising calls than the group who did not. Now, I'm going to be totally honest, all of these studies I've shared aren't totally 100% reliable because there is some other variables that weren't being measured, such as they didn't measure what was going on in those people's personal lives. And so we can't 100% say that all of this result was down to the single act of gratitude. But personally, I think it's enough to show that gratitude does have a lasting impact. And you probably know this in your own self. When someone shows some gratitude and appreciation to you, it uplifts your spirits. It makes you feel good and overall positive that you're actually being appreciated. Personally, I just think it's kind of common sense. Like, yeah, it makes sense that they would feel more positive. It makes sense that they would feel overall happier when they're focusing on the good, when they're being appreciated. I've also linked the studies in the description below so you can see these for yourself. I hope you can see how just a small practice can have such a compound effect in our life. And so now let's get into ways you can implement gratitude into your life. So personally, I do gratitude journaling, which is what I'm going to be going into here, but you can also practice gratitude in other ways, such as a gratitude meditation, a prayer, even writing letters of gratitude to someone you know. But if you're interested in starting gratitude journaling for the first time, I kind of want to share my framework of what's worked for me and some tips that I've done along the way that maybe can help you get started and keep up a consistent practice. So I would recommend getting a specific notebook that you're just going to use for gratitude journaling and putting this in a place where you're going to remember to do it. I always keep mine in the middle of my desk, and every night when I come in and get ready for bed, I just see it there and it immediately triggers me to think, okay, let me sit down for just a few minutes and just dedicate myself to doing this. Maybe put it beside your bedside table or just put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Also, I would decide on a time that you're going to make it part of your routine. And this doesn't have to be like a specific time, but just, is it going to be in the morning or the evening? Maybe you'll have to figure this out. But for me personally, I found in the morning, although yes, I could do it in the morning, I also found that I would get a block because I haven't actually had the day yet. I haven't had my experience of my day. And so I would struggle to think more of some things in the morning to write down. Personally, I find doing it in the evening is better. It enables me to write about very specific things in that day. But in terms of the actual gratitude journaling itself, you want to be very specific about what you're writing about. You really want to seek out the good in your everyday. Don't be generic of just like, oh, I'm grateful for good health, I'm grateful for family. It's great to be grateful for those things, and some days maybe that is what you'll be grateful for, but you want to be very specific. Like, personally, I think that's too broad. You need to be really seeking out these good things in the day. So let me give you a few examples of things that I would put in my journal. So I've just opened up my journal, I'm just reading random things. So here I've put, I'm grateful for my friend paying for our dinner last night together. Here on another page I've put, I'm grateful for my dog is feeling better and I don't have to take her to the vets because she wasn't eating for a few days. It was a positive thing in the day. I'm grateful for when my friend came over, they brought us some croissants for breakfast. I'm grateful that I went for a run this morning even when I didn't want to, because it made my body feel good and it made me feel energized for the day. I'm grateful for this course that I started, as I feel like I learned so much and it really helped me get into the right direction. I'm grateful for the delicious mushroom risotto we had tonight for dinner. There's so many little things, very specific things that you can find in your day that you can be grateful for. Like, just think, what made you smile today? Who made you smile? Who did something good for you and took their time and their energy to actually do something nice for you? And could you even show gratitude to them? Could you also make sure that you take the time to maybe just say it to them, or even message them and just say how that made a positive impact in your day? You want to get very specific and really look at the positives of what is happening in your day. And if you can, I would aim to write around 3 things per day. And you don't have to be so rigid with yourself. I think a lot of people, it seems like with journaling and gratitude journaling, they get very put off in the end because they sit down and they think they're trying to force themselves to write 5 things or write 10 things. Don't force it. If you sit down and you really can't think about 3 things, just write 1 thing. Surely there is one positive thing in your day. And lastly, I just wanted to say that changes take time. Realistically, I think I started to notice that overall positive feeling and, that feeling of being content and satisfied after around 2 months, like 60 days of consistent gratitude journaling. Like I explained at the start, with the brain rewiring itself with its neural pathways, it takes repeating the behavior again and again and again. How many times do you think your parents had to tell you to brush your teeth again and again until it became part of your routine? And it's the same with gratitude journaling. You can't expect after like a week for you to just be feeling like overall more positive. It takes some time to train these neural pathways to strengthen and for our brains to automatically be looking for positive things. So I really recommend this is something that you try and commit to, even for a month, and see if you notice a difference. I do think you'll notice a difference after a month. And all it takes is literally 5 minutes of the day, maybe even less, to sit down and write 3 things in a book, and your overall well-being and state of mind can be so much more positive. Instead of coming from a place of lacking, you're coming from a place of feeling fulfilled, feeling satisfied, feeling like everything you have right now is all that you need. You don't need to wait for that thing, that relationship, that money. You can be happy right now. I hope this could have helped you in some type of way. Thank you so much for watching.